So listen, come on, right here in Mt Pocono, down at the Berg, our second location. Come on, put your hands together and give a warm. Thank you so much for being here. Wow, this is awesome. Welcome to the Poconos.
Thank you.
Have you ever been to the Poconos before?
No, this is our first time.
Awesome. Well, welcome. And your husband Chris is with us. He's got a Yankees hat on, so he's all right. We'll let him stay. It's all right. Well, what do you think of the Poconos? Video on Facebook in the history of the world, over 160 million views. That is crazy. That is amazing. And tell us, why did you make the video to begin with? What was going on?
I always post stuff like this. It's just random and stupid. And so actually my husband, he's in the front row right here. I told him that night, I was like, hey, people are like watching this and sharing it. I think you need to watch it. And he goes, I don't have 4 minutes to watch you be stupid again. And I was like, well, okay, awesome. All right. The next morning we woke up and we broke the record for the most views
overnight.
On Facebook, overnight. So the record holder before us was BuzzFeed, and they were about 10 million views. And when we woke up the next morning, we had 24 million.
Oh my goodness.
And when we went to bed, it was 1 million.
Wow.
So it's like it just kept on being
viral.
Like not just viral, but super viral. When you would refresh your browser or refresh the link, you would see it jump up 250,000 to 500,000 views on Friday. It was insane. And so before he leaves for work on Friday morning, I was like, hey babe, I really think you may want to take a couple seconds and watch the video. And he was like, I'm gonna be late for work. I was like, I'm just saying, you might want to watch it. And sure enough, he gets to work and he hears my laugh. He's walking into work and he's like, oh my God. And he's like, what are y'all watching? They're like, this lady in a Chewbacca mask. And she's like laughing. And he's like, oh my God. Should have watched it. And tried to warn you.
And since then, you've been on the Late Show with James Gordon. What I don't know, you're a devout follower of Jesus Christ. Yeah. You're a worship leader. You attend my friend Scott Wilson's church, the Oaks, down in Dallas. Shout out to the Oaks and Scott.
What's up?
And
they wouldn't even get that. That was something I just did. That was dumb. So I'm sorry. I love y'all. Anyways.
So tell us though, because we had dinner last night, and my gosh, my sides were hurting after we left because we were just laughing, Becca and I. But here's what people don't know, what God was doing in your heart the last 2 or 3 years prior to this happening.
Yeah.
As He's preparing you.
Yeah, I haven't shared this even with you last night, did I?
Okay.
So in 2015, I kind of always start the year off asking God for a word for my life. Like, not really to do New Year's resolutions, but just kind of, God, where are you and me going together this year? Because I want to follow you and not do my own thing. And I felt like He told me that it was going to be an Esther year. So the January of 2015, you remember when Esther went into the palace? She went through this kind of beautification process. 6 months she spent on becoming like purified. Purified outside and purified inside. And then the last part of the 6 months, she was just made beautiful to present before the king. And I felt like God was saying He was going to do that with me in 2015. That He was going to work on pulling stuff out of me the first half of the year that was just impurities. Like just stuff that I just been keeping as idols. Stuff that I was maybe surrounding my heart with shame that I didn't like about myself. And then the second half of the year, I felt like He started making me beautiful to other people. And, people that normally wouldn't notice me. I don't know, if you really think about it, I was a stay-at-home mom. And that's probably one of the most unrecognized roles in this entire world. And what's funny to see haters, people are just, I've learned the word trolls now, and like haters and stuff on the internet. They'll post something and they'll be like, this could happen, what has she done to deserve this? And she hasn't contributed anything to society. I think they talk like that in my mind, so that's how I replay it.
This is like therapeutic. That's all right.
It's good. It's a nice therapy session with all these people and the internet webs. So, I remember thinking, when I heard that phrase, that I've done nothing to contribute to society, I thought, you know what? There's false information in there that you already presume that a stay-at-home mom is doing nothing to contribute to society. And the reality is that job contributes to society on so many levels every single day.
One of the most important jobs there.
Yeah. And so I knew that was just a lie. I was like, whatever, you don't know. And so God took me through that process in 2015. And I felt like he was telling me that along with like Esther, I was going to be made for such a time that he was preparing. And not only that, but he was going to give me an influential voice into the world that hadn't been there before.
You're thinking, I'm a stay-at-home mom. But you're believing that.
But I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rock this with you, Jesus. So whenever he would bring up, like, we're talking intense years of false things I told myself. Yeah. I call it out on the carpet. You know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, you better take every thought captive that brings itself against the knowledge of God. Right. And so the things that I was thinking about myself in private, that I told myself, I'm not this, I'm not a runner, I'm not athletic. I remember God telling me, well, why? You got breath in your lungs and you got legs at work, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, ouch. Okay, well, let's start running then. Not really. I sprint for 15 seconds. Don't get happy about that yet. By the end of the year, maybe. And so I remember that those...
For her husband, Chris, and for their family, Lord, we just thank you for just blowing this video up on Facebook and overnight, God, putting her on literally a world stage where she can have influence for you and for your kingdom. And these two...